obviously there's a lot that one could say about David Lynch. And in doing research for the seminar today, I read several articles. And coming up the stairs, I asked him if he still liked chocolate shakes, because apparently one of his favorite things is chocolate shakes, and it's chocolate shakes at Bob's Big Boy. That was from an interview that was conducted for Rolling Stone. In an interview that, excuse me, in an interview that was done for New West, there was a comment, quote, that I took, and I wanted, it's very short, and I wanted to use that as the basis for starting off today. And it was a question which dealt with Elephant Man and the fact that it was a linear film. And you said it was directing, that you were somewhat hesitant because it was a linear film, but that it was the best thing that could have happened, and having to work with a tight story structure was part of it. It's something I needed, even if I never do it again. I always thought you could break the rules before you learned them. Maybe you can, but it's harder. My question was, what rules were you referring to, and had you not followed those rules before, what was your sentiment about that when you said that?
I don't know.
Good answer.
Well, I think that every film has got a bunch of rules, and like I always said, like on Eraserhead, no matter how strange it was, as soon as you start along one direction, everything else is out of the picture, and that's your direction, and that's your set of rules. And if you don't obey them, you're in a whole lot of trouble. And people, even if it's only subconsciously, they'll pick up on that, and they'll feel that it's not an honest picture. But I think I was talking more about traditional things, like in painting, you can learn an awful lot about technique and rules, but there's always some guy that comes along and breaks all the rules and, you know, makes a lot of headway. But it's good to know some of those rules, and I, for a long time, fought, you know, learning the rules, but I was lucky in a way because I had Frank Danielle and Tony here at the center did this film analysis class, and I picked up a lot of things on certain rules of filmmaking there. And like I said, the Elephant Man was more of a story picture, so I was forced to obey those rules. And
so what you're saying is that the film dictates the rules in part?
Absolutely. Every film is different.
Every film is different in terms of the nature of the rules. Is there anything that you would just, for one example, in terms of the difference between Elephant Man and Eraserhead, since they both were closely, you know, one preceded the other? Mm-hmm. Could you just briefly comment only in one example so that have a sense more of what you're talking about?
No, because they both have rules, and they both, the films talk to you, and you have to listen to them. And if you're doing that, you'll be okay. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to ask you one other thing before we opened it up for questions. I noticed in reading the articles on you that you had initially been trained as a painter, or
Mm-hmm.
that was your initial thrust, and you thought that that was going to be your career, and that perhaps two of the painters that were influential in your life were Francis Bacon,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one was
Edward Hopper.
Edward Hopper.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of those two painters being influential in your visions or the ways that you see things abstractly or otherwise, were there any directors that you particularly paid attention to in the film industry that had some influence on you?
Well,
in terms of moving images.
I wasn't like a film buff, you know, growing up, so places influenced me much more than films, and painters influenced me.
More than directors?
Yeah, but I like certain directors, but and I'm sure that they've had an influence, but more so with places.
Industrial?
Yeah, like Philadelphia, I always say is the inspiration for Eraserhead, and it's just...
Besides in industrial areas, what other kind of place would influence you?
Well, I like industry. I like factories and smoke and diners and let's see. Those are about my favorite places, yeah. And Bob's. But I don't like to, I wouldn't want to live in these places, but these are the kind of places that I like to work with. But I like very light places like with Formica, white Formica.
Why don't we take some questions?
Is that what you got interested in the Elephant Man script? Did you see in their images the possibility of images like that we saw in Eraserhead? I mean, there's so many scenes there that I would have thought were taken right out of Eraserhead. And the sound, too. I mean, the pumping, throbbing sound industry.
You bet.
Did you see that right away when you did it?
Well, see, the thing is, the Elephant Man was around at the beginning of the whole thing, you know, industry, the Industrial Revolution. So that was one thing that really got me going, and I saw a lot of still photos of the period, and they didn't have the kind of machines that I really liked, but it was so interesting that it was the very beginning of it, and that was real important too, and I started getting like ideas along those lines, and I liked the idea that this person, it wasn't really related, but it was, came out of that time, and that kind of thing kind of was real interesting to me. And out of all this darkness, and this twisted, you know, shape, inside was all this light, and that, you know, really did it. Yeah?
How'd you do when you saw Alien?
Well, I heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but that Giger said that Eraserhead was one of his favorite films, and it did influence him. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but I mean, well, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, he said it influenced him. Yes?
I was curious, and now I know that you're preparing for Dune, and what are you using for jumping off points to kind of eat your juices going? Are you conceptualizing in terms of machines or certain painters that you pull you off?
Insects.
Insects.
And worms, yeah.
And worms, insects.
Yeah. Yes?
What kind of rules do you anticipate?
Well, Dune is a pretty neat film because it's got all different kinds of things. It's got dreams, and it's got story, and it's got images that are really exciting. And so it's got so many different possibilities that a regular film wouldn't have. But it still has rules. I'm not really explaining myself very good on these rules. There's something that it's an intuitive sort of thing. It's like if you have 3 or 4 ideas, one of them may drop off because it just doesn't feel right, and it doesn't fit in that, you know, story. And it's one of those things that you can't really articulate. It's just a feeling. But every film has got those things, and so it will have its own set of rules. And there's things that will fit in it, even though it's strange and there's lots of things. There's certain things that won't work.